Things are heating up here in Canada. We've got Palestinian protesters are now pushing the limits here to the point where liberals are calling them out for their H-word speech. We're talking about H-A-T-E. Welcome back to Moose on the Loose Extra, my second channel. My name's David. Today, we've got not only the Palestinian protests that are going on in Montreal, taking over the Bank of Montreal, a historic old building, filling the streets, chanting things they should not be chanting, which goes against Canadian law. We've got students who were tricked into going to a Palestinian protest. The teachers tricked the students. They did a little switcheroo. There's probably going to be some lawsuits or people getting fired. Let's jump into this. What you're about to see here is absolutely appalling. There's a student school field trip where the parents were lied to. As it says here, shocking, and 7th and 8th graders from public schools in Toronto were taken yesterday on a Toronto District School Board approved field trip, not to a museum, but to a march in a political protest where they chanted pro-Palestine slogans. Adults in keffiyehs and face coverings led the way, while young minds were subjected to one-sided political narrative. The TDSB crossed a line. Children get sent to school to learn. They should never be forced to participate in political protests. It's not that they're taken aside, it's that they have utter disregard for the rights of pro-Palestine and Jewish students and staff along any commitment to truth and balance. This isn't education, it's indoctrination. It's affront to the very purpose of education. So first off, I'll show you this clip, and then we've also got independent Kevin Vaughn, who commented on this on a radio show. So I believe this is one of the teachers. It seems like it. She's wearing a mask and a backpack and stuff. This looks, I mean, all the rest look like kids, 12 or 13 years old. This is appalling. Somebody's going to get fired here. I sure hope so. They're forcing all these kids to hold signs and march in this pro-Palestine. Oh God, this is brutal. Somebody's parents are going to flip their lid. Somebody is getting sued or fired or something. Everyone should be reported and investigated, from teachers to the school board. There needs to be lawsuits. It's the only thing they will recognize. So we've got Kevin Vaughn here, the independent. He had some comments on this in this radio show. First off, it says they lied about the purpose of the field trip and they lied about what the students would do.
I don't know that I would bring a group of children to it.
Kevin, you heard the parent. She feels duped by this. And again, I think most people might say, I get to decide in my own household. You want to bring your own kids on Saturday to a protest, dress them up however you like, go support whatever cause you like. That's fine. But I drop them off at school in the car, or they walk to school, and I assume a field trip is just going to be about observing and being educated.
Yeah, listening to Melissa, Greg, I was furious. TDSB teachers lied, okay? They lied that this would be about Grassy Narrows and an important national issue regarding Indigenous peoples in Canada. They lied that students would be observing and learning. They were made to protest. And as Karima said, these protests can be unsafe. There was a dereliction of duty and their responsibility to keep our children safe. And I would not want my child, when she's born in 3 weeks or so, to be a student at TDSB, and there has to be consequences, because I have lost confidence in the TDSB, as I think Melissa and many other parents have.
And you'd make the case that you can't take kids to a Walk with Israel protest. You can't take them to a protest about something that's happening in Myanmar. You'd make that case and broaden it out and say no political protests for students on a field trip.
That's interesting, a Walk with Israel, because it was a Palestine protest, the opposite side. Why would the radio host use a Walk with Israel? I mean, I get it, it could be anything, but why not just call it what it was? It's Palestinian protest. Don't say Walk with Israel. That's not what it was. That's a little disingenuous.
Yeah, and I was specific about my remarks just now in not naming the issue. It's not about whatever the issue of political activism is. Parents were told that this was going to be about observing and learning about Grassy Narrows and the issue of mercury poisoning. They were lied to. This had nothing to do with that. And then they were lied to about what the purpose was. Instead, these students, put yourself in the shoes, you're grade 7, grade 8. Are you going to say, no, I'm not going to take part in that? Never mind the fact that, you may be a Jewish student if we're going to bring in the particular issue, but these students had no choice. The teacher lied to their parents and made a choice for them for them to get involved in political activism.
Get some lawsuits on those teachers. Get them out of their jobs. You can't have those people teaching kids. They're not trustworthy. They can't be trusted with a bunch of kids. It's just period. If by accountable you mean fired and banned from teaching children again, yes, absolutely. So next up, I've got 3 clips of Palestinian protesters. I'm going to just put very brief amounts of clips in here. They're saying we are the resistance of Gaza. We've got the next clip here. It says Montreal activists climb buildings with smoke G-word, and continue to chant from the river to the sea. Just another Sunday in Trudeau's Canada. So yeah, this is illegal. I looked this up. You have to have a permit to use these things in Canada. What city would issue permits for them to illegally stand up on this building? No city mayor, anyone working at City Hall would permit people to illegally stand on this. This is not what we do in our country, guys. I'm sure it's completely different over there, but here you're not allowed to just go climb on buildings and bust out these smoky things. You can't do this here. You should be arrested. You would be arrested if it were Canadians with flags, Canadian flags doing this. But I mean, we've seen this for a full year. These people don't care about our country. They don't respect our laws. The majority of Canadians are getting sick and tired of it. And we got one more clip here. It says they're in the streets of Toronto for this one, and they're chanting, Israel will soon be gone. But is that not hate? This is what this son of a bench is questioning here.
Israel will soon be gone! From Palestine to Lebanon!
Palestine to Lebanon, Israel will soon be gone. You know, if you guys want to protest, you have to do it within the legal confines of our country. If you don't know the rules, you should learn the rules of this country. And maybe that's because the police don't do anything about it, because maybe possibly Justin Trudeau has sent them a memo telling them not to do anything about it. What's the most bizarre thing about this is the people of Israel that live in Canada, what did they do? They don't run the government in Israel. They're not Netanyahu. They're not calling the shots. With all these Palestinian protests, we have got Anthony Housefather. This is a liberal. This is a liberal member of Trudeau's government. He has posted this one here where they're specifically from Palestine to Lebanon, Israel will soon be gone. This is HATE speech. There's no other way to say it. It is. Even Anthony Housefather, liberal Anthony Housefather, says this chant calls for the eradication of a nation that happens to be the only Jewish majority one in the world, and by extension, the destruction of a people. I will write to ask the Toronto Police and Ontario Attorney General to review whether this crosses the criminal line. It does. It does. They should have a paddy wagon out here, round up these people, get them working and digging ditches, cleaning out the sewers. They can clean out their dirty mouths for uttering such stuff in our streets. As posted by Zachary here, it says 120.318, every person who advocates or promotes genocide is guilty of an indictable offense and is liable to imprisonment for a term no more than 5 years. So really, these people should be looking at some sort of jail time up to 5 years. Next up, we've got Toronto police who arrest this guy on the train tracks, and they have to shut the trains down because of this. So you can see this guy here was chased. So you can see here, we'll just stop that for a second. They eventually pin him down, and they take forever here to handcuff him and get him off the tracks. It's just another day in Trudeau's Canada where you've got these cultural enrichers doing stupid things. This is a suspected robbery. They chase this guy down. It's just another day in Trudeau's Canada. This guy says he threw his pew-pew away before jumping onto the tracks. Cops found it later. Next up, we got a clip here. The German police are chasing a boy carrying a Palestinian flag. I'm not going to play the whole video, but... So we're just going to turn the audio off. But you can see here they chase him around, and they eventually, all these other people try to block him. And they finally get him, and they arrest him. Other police agencies around the world are starting to crack down on all of the over amounts of protesting in the streets. It's becoming too much in some nations. You're starting to see Sweden really crack down. A lot of people in Ireland are cracking down. Germany's cracking down. I think Germany's cracking down because they had one of their police officers perish because of one of the cultural enrichers from the other side there of the planet poke him in the neck with a pokey, and he perished. After that, they've changed their tune in Germany. Man criminally charged with common nuisance for attending 2 separate lockdown protests, found not guilty in one city and guilty in another. Case headed to Supreme Court for appeal. It's crazy. Like, Canadians get punished for protesting, but we've got the green and red and white flag people protesting all hours of the day, smoke grenades, standing on buildings, taking over entire areas. No arrests, no charges. No problem here in Canada. The next story I've got here is pretty interesting. So Justin Trudeau has appointed someone who's now trying to put in more Islamic people. They're trying to get them hired into universities over Canadians. You can't make this stuff up. And the Bloc of all people call him out on this. So normally I don't put the Bloc on the channel, but that's what we got here with this next clip.
A unanimous motion by the Quebec Assembly that education comes under Quebec's exclusive jurisdiction, and hiring professors should be based on merit and certainly not based on religion. They reiterate that hiring based on religion is not only discriminatory, but it goes against state secularism. The National Assembly repeats its request to have the special envoy on Islamophobia fired.
So Trudeau brought someone in to try to get the universities to hire more Islamic people. There's no guessing where Trudeau's loyalties lie. It's not with Canadians.
Mr. Speaker, let me be crystal clear. The universities have to hire the best possible people for the job. That's their job. But we also recognize that universities have policies that they've put in place to ensure that their staff reflect.
You can see that he's like, like he just couldn't come up with the words because he's just so full of crap.
The diversity of the communities they serve. So I have full confidence in our...
The diversity of the community you're bringing in here is chanting in the streets every single day, and now you're trying to prioritize these people over Canadians who have built this country, you traitor.
Our universities, and we must always keep fighting systemic discrimination in all our institutions from coast to coast to coast.
You know, if these people want to come in and be a part of our country and help build it, that's what Canada is all about. But getting all these freebies and handouts, having the ability to do whatever they want and not be prosecuted by the law, unequal to all other Canadians, and then having this extra support being pushed to universities, this is disgraceful.
Does it take 9 years to learn not to answer questions? The National Assembly of Quebec unanimously said that your person has insulted all of us. We're calling for her resignation. Are you on Ms. Gawabi's position against Quebec? Are you on her side and against the National Assembly of Quebec with all its elected representatives? If not, let it be known. To suggest in this place that a member from Quebec elected by Quebecers does not represent his constituents is an insult to this very place, and the Bloc, which was elected to this place, should be ashamed of saying such a thing.
So you're not seeing it, it's off screen here, but they all stood up again. You'll be seeing more of that going on. That's their new strategy now, to try to show solidarity. What's also ridiculous is this here. We've got more Palestinian protesters in the streets.
To uplift their resistance, we have a duty to make sure that our politicians can go nowhere without being confronted. We have a duty to continue taking to the streets every single week until justice prevails and until we are free from this fascist project. From the belly of the beast!
Okay, I'm wondering though, when she says our politicians, is she talking about in Canada or your chips and hummus politicians, Gaza, Palestine? Who are you talking about? I can't even figure it out anymore. Like, are you part of this country or are you thinking you're still part of back home? I don't understand these people at all because they don't seem to care about this country. Canada is not looking the same as it used to. It's so bad I can't even put any of these clips on my main channel. It's only because this channel here, my second channel, has such a high rating that I'm allowed to. I should note, I am allowed to put these clips on YouTube. YouTube always approves of these on my other channel. It just often takes them days to do it. It's time for the police to stop doing Trudeau's bidding and actually step up and do their job and start putting these people behind bars.